starting off, everything going back to the Ole Miss game. Again, like I've said, again, don't ever feel good about a loss, but I do think that there's vast improvement. I know I said that the other night, but watching the tape, you certainly continue to see it. On the offensive side of the ball, I thought for first time in a couple weeks, what you saw us was able to run off the ball the way we'd like to and get some movement up front the way we'd like to. And what I think you see is the running backs in the hole a little bit better because of that and having a couple creases. Obviously, big run by Matt Breed in there and a couple other things, moving the chains. Certainly felt like Coach Dean did a nice job of being able to continue to be simple while still being able to mix it up and keep them off balance with some of the looks that they had. And as we went through it, I thought that really, and maybe not statistically, but I thought it was Kevin's best game. I thought him from a quarterback position, managing the game the way that we needed it managed, I thought that he was able to do those things and do it with a lot of efficiency throughout the game. I certainly think that the plan that our staff put together on offense, I thought they had a good one to give us an opportunity to win. And again, those things continue to show up. Defensively, we've got to figure out, again, as a football team, and not just defensively, but as you look at the last 8 minutes of the second quarter, that continues to be what stands out. In the second half, I did think they did come back and do a good job of being able to stop some drives. But, we're sitting there in a situation in the second half where, again, we're kind of chasing, trying to get it within one possession. We've got to be able to get some answers a little bit sooner to be able to sit there and look at it and be able to keep from those field goals coming up. And again, from a special team standpoint, we continue to be able to do things where we get an opportunity to block kicks and make big plays. And we've got to be able to get our kickoff return team going a little bit better. As we move forward, again, we're playing Louisiana Lafayette this week, and Coach Hudspeth and his staff obviously have done a fantastic job there over the last couple of years, and Coach Hudspeth has won everywhere he's ever been. Obviously, the success he had at North Alabama and then turning around and the success he's had in the recent years at Lafayette. They're a good football team. They're a talented football team. And so as we sit there and go into it, we know offensively, again, we got a couple of guys we've got to be able to stop. I like what they do with their offense. I think, again, trying to be simple what they do and then trying to make sure they get their hands in the ball in playmakers' hands. Quarterback is a dynamic guy, can run, can throw. Certainly he is a guy that about the time you think you've got everybody covered and you've got him hemmed up, he's able to scramble and create down the field. Good running back, and again, receivers that are able to make plays on the ball defensively. They've got some talented guys. They start, with them as their two linebackers are the ones that continue to show up and jump out at you whenever you sit there and watch a tape. A defensive line that plays physical, plays with their hands well, and again, a secondary again that tries to close coverage and play tight, and they don't mind coming and being aggressive in the run game and trying to come up and strike you. So we've got some things we've got to be able to handle there to be able to know what we've got. So as we look forward and move forward to it, again, I'm very excited about the progress that we made. Not excited about the result of Saturday, but excited about the progress that we made, and really excited about going into this last stretch and with these last 3 games and with these seniors and having an opportunity to really get our season going in the direction that we want to, finish the way we want to, and send these seniors out the way we want to, and being able to get in the bowl game. And this is the first piece of that. And we know if we can't get this one, then it's going to be that much harder for us to be where we want to be at the end of it. So with that, I'll take any questions anybody's got.
Coach, you just mentioned that you felt like Kevin had the best game of the season. You played him the entire game except for one play.
Yes, sir.
If he's able to go and says he feels good, will you do that again?
That would be the plan. And again, that's what we went into last week's thought process, trying to make sure that we sat there and changed play callers. We changed some things up as far as what we were doing from a personnel standpoint, and we certainly feel like Kevin gives us the best chance to win and the best chance to be successful. We wanted to be able to give him those opportunities. Kind of like I said the other day, we did intend on playing Seth really for a series each half. We never got to it. I thought that, really, and it was my call as much as anything to leave Kevin in. I thought he was in a rhythm. I thought our offense was in a rhythm. And like you mentioned earlier, he did. He got dinged up the second half, and so, but we still feel like he gives us the best chance to be successful. So that's why he stayed in there the whole time. And again, I thought from a management standpoint, that's where you see a lot of growth from him.
Aside from Kevin, a couple other guys dinged up in the game. What do you feel with the short week about the chances of going out there as close to 100% as you can be?
It's hard. It's that time of year, unfortunately, where you have a lot of guys in this physical football game, obviously, that we played the other day. Both us and Ole Miss come out of that thing with a lot of different injuries, unfortunately. But as we sit there and look at it, if you sit there and watch us kind of practice in these short weeks, we try to take the first 30 minutes of practice with shells and try to make sure we've got our run fits and some of our individual work done, and then we try to get off our feet. We're never out there more than an hour and 15 minutes on these short weeks, and we'll kind of be in the same mindset tomorrow. We're trying to push some guys. We did have one or two guys that we kept out of the shells part and made sure that they were running around on the back end to be able to get them the practice reps that they needed today. And again, we're going to try to make sure we've got all of them out there as we can. To be honest with you, a lot of the guys that we've got, they're kind of day to day and wait and see, and it's that's the difficult part of playing on these short weeks,
Coach, you mentioned prior to the season, kind of when you took over, your philosophy on practices is we hit hard, and that's how we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, I know it's hindsight, but do you look at any of these injuries, because you've got pretty much your entire offensive backfield banged up at this point, rethinking any of that, or is that
we
have
have
nothing to do with that?
No, and you know what? That was really, those statements are really probably more directed at spring practice and camp. If you look at right now and some of the adjustments that we've made, I've kind of taken the season in three different phases so far. The first 4 weeks of the season, we were out there for, on a Tuesday, which is our long day. I think we were out there 2 hours and 5 minutes. We had 20 minutes to walk through, an hour and 40 minutes of practice. We went through the next phase, and I tried to cut walkthroughs down to about 10 minutes, and I cut 10 minutes out of practice. We were out there 20 minutes less, and right now we're at a point where if you looked at even last week, where I don't think we were out there not one day any longer than an hour and 30 minutes. I think on Tuesday, Wednesday we were out there an hour and 15, no walkthroughs any of those days. So we've cut down. It's not that.
But are they hitting hard,
No, we're mostly tag off. What we try to do is try to organize it to where, and especially when we got through really the Western Michigan game, we wanted to make sure that we had our time for our fundamentals. I didn't think we were tackling very well. I didn't think we were blocking up front. So what we do is we take about 20 minutes individual. We have 2 team periods. We take our shoulder pads off. And so what you see a lot of times when you get at the back end of practice, kind of the same way you saw today, you don't see any of it. Thursdays for us, as we started the season, we're in shells and helmets, and we were out there about an hour. If you sat there and watched us the last 2 weeks, we're not even in helmets. We're not in cleats. We're out there 30 minutes, and it's a true walkthrough, really kind of what you've done for a Friday. So, I would understand that, I think, and it does. It's a long season, so I've tried to back off. And what it's helped us do, to be honest with you, is it has helped us be a little bit fresher. The other piece that it does is it gives us about 30 more minutes of meetings a day right now. And so I think that piece has been the important piece. A lot of it is, we've, knock on wood, we've been pretty healthy, as silly as that sounds. We've been pretty healthy for guys going through the year and not having any real major injuries through the year. It certainly hasn't been something where we walked into each week where we had 5, 6 guys out. We haven't had those things, and I think it's because of the way we've practiced. But as you sit there and go through it again, what happened the other day, that's hard now. Your number 1 Z receiver, your backup Z receiver, really the guy who's had as good of a year for us on special teams as anybody, Malik Henry, had already changed the game on 2 different plays on special teams, winds up, coming out, and then you look up, and then again, here comes Wesley, he's out, and golly, you really hang your head. You look up, LA comes out the next play, and it's just like, what's about to happen next, And we've talked about it. Our quarterback situation, really, we sat there and went through with Fabian and Kevin both, and for 4 or 5 weeks, just battling the hip, battling the shoulder, battling the ankle, battling the this, and and it's well documented. Again, as soon as we look up and get one of those things healed up, we got something else popping up. And those 2 kids, I give them a lot of credit. They continue to battle each week and continue to try to get ready to play the way we need to. And I really feel like our football team will be able to do that again. I looked up, to be honest with you, I didn't think Crockett would be able to go. And I looked up, and he toughed his way all the way through practice, every bit of it today. And I didn't think there'd be any chance that he'd be able to go, but he did. And we've got some tough-minded kids, and they're certainly ready for this week and excited about it.
If you had to burn somebody's red shirt with only 3 games left in the season, I know it will be a tough call, but is that on the table right now?
I hope we don't get put in that position. Again, if you kind of look back now, 3 weeks ago when we decided we were going to start playing Seth Schumann, that was certainly a difficult call. For me, it really is for any freshman at that point in time, particularly for a quarterback. It's a little bit different if you have a linebacker, if you have a D lineman, if you have a tight end, a running back, because you can play those guys on special teams and not feel like you burned one, so to speak. When you don't have that opportunity when you're talking about really an offensive lineman or a quarterback. And certainly that decision was Seth. But, to this point in time, as we continue to move forward, it's been a good decision for us. It's been a very necessary one, I would say that. And as we look forward to it, again, we'll be glad, I think, in the long run that we've had him ready to go for these last couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll be able to get Fabian back at the end of the season a little bit closer, We're a very quarterback-driven offense. There's no question about that. Obviously, anytime that you're, a run-the-ball first offense and trying to be a run-the-ball offense, you've got to establish that at the line of scrimmage. With your offensive line, obviously your backs have got to be players that can give you opportunities to be able to get 2 or 3 sometimes and hope that you can get some dynamic runs when your receivers are able to block down the field and finish blocks the way they need to. Kevin is a major part of that. Kevin and everything that he's been able to do. I can't say enough about just the progression he's made through this season, but the last couple of years, the last couple of games in particular. And it's a big part of it. Kevin is a guy that, one, is a dynamic leader for us, a guy that has tremendous work ethic, and when he's out front and when his alter ego jumps out and he is just all juice and all energy and he's all leadership, our guys follow. They do. And again, he's a dynamic personality and a dynamic player for us. But we certainly feel like when we have his legs available, and obviously it gives us a little bit more things, whether we're in an option scheme that's a double option, whether we're in some of our triple option stuff out of the inside zone look, or whether it winds up being out of some of the gap schemes that we've had and some of our G schemes, we're able to do a lot of different things with him.
Would you entertain the thoughts of playing Wirtz at quarterback?
I hope we don't get to that point. I really do. He'll go down to be on the field with us this week. He's going to go down to the other field rather than being on the scout field. Entertain is probably an interesting word. Yeah, I mean that's if we wind up looking up and we don't have Fabian or we don't have Kevin, then certainly we've got to be ready for those kind of situations to come up. We certainly know that Shai is a very talented young man, a runner and a thrower, and a guy that's was a very highly recruited player, and a guy that we're excited about having, and he's a talented dude, and we're excited about it. But again, we hope we don't get to that point. Really, more for him than anything.
Would he allow you to keep the package a lot similar to what Kevin does?
Certainly. He's a guy that has very similar characteristics. To both them, to both Fabian and to Kevin. And so, yes, he would be able to keep it very similar in those regards. Again, it would probably be a little bit more limited. We do put a lot on our quarterbacks as far as trying to make calls and checks and adjustments throughout the games and the plays. And, we try to make sure we gave them an opportunity to be successful. Again, I thought that our offensive staff did a great job of being able to sit there and give Kevin a game plan that gave him a chance to be successful last week. And we'd certainly be able to do that. But again, Seth probably doesn't get enough credit for the athlete that we feel like he is anyway. And because he does, you look out there and you see a guy that's got a lot of arm strength, and you see a guy that's probably ahead of where most true freshmen would be from a fundamental standpoint at quarterback. But he's making freshman mistakes too, and that's part of it. As he sits there and grows, it'll be something that's good for him in the long run. Hopefully, it's good for him right now as well. But I think he is a good athlete. I think he certainly showed that what he was able to do in some of our scrimmages through camp, where he was able to be a good runner and some of those things. We got to get him comfortable doing it right now, because you don't see him doing some of the things that he did early on, with the ball in his hands.
Coach, I know people talk about taking it one game at a time, looking at the next opponent, but sitting where you are at 4-5, do you get the impression that the players know that they need 2 wins here in the last 3 games to get to the postseason, where a lot of people will set a goal to be?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly want to make sure you've got to play one day, one period, one whatever at a time, and certainly one game. But there's no question we'd all be sitting here lying to you if we didn't if we didn't say we knew the importance of the next 3 weeks total. But again, none of that matters if we don't take care of it this week.